Have you ever lain in bed while the night grows deeper around you, yet your mind refuses to follow its quiet rhythm? The house sleeps, the world softens, but inside your chest a small trembling continues. Thoughts rise and fall like restless waves. Old worries return as if they were waiting for darkness to appear. You want rest, you want stillness, but the mind keeps pulling you into stories you no longer wish to live. Perhaps it begins with the tiniest worry, a message left unanswered, a mistake remembered too clearly, a pressure you carry during the day that becomes heavier when no one is watching. Or maybe it is the simple exhaustion of being strong for too long. When you finally lie down, everything you pushed aside comes forward, filling your inner space until sleep feels out of reach. Tonight, you do not need to fight this. Tonight, you are invited into a different kind of journey. The Buddha taught that when the mind is seen with compassion, it softens. When the breath is honored, the body remembers how to rest. And when stories of wisdom are heard in the stillness of night, something inside begins to open, slowly, gently, like a lotus at dawn. As you listen, you will be guided through Zen stories, Buddhist teachings, and quiet practices that dissolve anxiety and help you drift into deep, nourishing sleep. If peaceful nights matter to you, if you long for a place where your spirit can exhale, consider joining this community. Subscribing to this channel is not just a button, it is a doorway to a sanctuary that follows you everywhere you go. A place of calm, a place of understanding, a place where you are never alone on your path. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The first teaching. The mind is not the enemy. Have you ever noticed how anxiety arrives without invitation, especially at night when everything else becomes quiet? It does not knock. It slips in softly, filling the room before you even realize what is happening. The body tenses, the breath shortens, and thoughts begin to scatter like frightened birds. You lie there wondering why the mind refuses to rest, even when you need sleep the most. It feels unfair, as if the very thing meant to protect you has turned into a restless watcher standing guard through the night. The Buddha taught a simple truth that often feels difficult to believe. The mind is not your enemy. Anxiety is not a sign of weakness. It is a form of energy, a movement of the inner world, a whisper from parts of you that have not yet been fully understood. The mind, when frightened or overwhelmed, behaves like a small child, lost in a crowded market. It clings, cries, and pulls at your attention not to harm you, but to be held. When you learn to meet this voice with kindness, rather than resistance, something remarkable begins to shift. The storm does not disappear instantly, but you stop standing in the middle of it. You begin to step out of the wind and watch from a safer place. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Anna who struggled with night anxiety for years. During the day, she appeared calm, capable, and grounded. But when night came, a different world opened inside her. She would lie awake for hours, feeling waves of worry she could not explain. Her heart beat quickly, her chest tightened, her thoughts raced from one fear to another, each one more convincing than the last. She believed something was wrong with her, that her mind was broken, that she lacked the strength other people seemed to carry so easily. One evening, exhausted from another sleepless night, Anna visited an old meditation teacher who lived near her home. She told him everything, expecting advice about techniques or breathing patterns. Instead, he asked her a single question. When the mind becomes loud at night, do you fight it or do you listen? Anna admitted that she always fought. She pushed her thoughts away. She tightened her body. She tried to force herself into sleep, like someone forcing a door closed during a storm. The teacher nodded gently. The wind becomes stronger when you try to control it, he said. But if you let it pass through you, it loses its power. He explained that anxiety is not a mistake. It is a visitor carrying messages from deeper parts of the self. When you meet it with fear, it grows. When you meet it with curiosity, it softens. The mind is not attacking you. It is asking you to see something you have not yet seen, to feel something you have not yet allowed yourself to feel. That night, Anna tried something different. When anxiety rose, she placed her hand on her heart. She whispered, "I am here. I am listening." At first, nothing changed. The thoughts continued. The tension remained. But as minutes passed, she felt a subtle shift. The intensity softened. The breath deepened. The fear loosened its grip. For the first time in years, she did not feel like she was fighting herself. She felt like she was finally taking her mind by the hand. What Anna discovered is the essence of the first teaching. The mind is not the enemy. Anxiety is not a threat. It is a movement of life inside you asking for understanding. The Buddha spoke about this often. He taught that the mind, when abandoned or resisted, becomes restless, but when given gentle attention, it becomes steady like a cup of water placed on calm ground. The ripples settle not because you force them to still, but because you stop shaking the cup. Think about your own experience. The nights when you fight anxiety are often the nights when it grows stronger. The breath tightens. The thoughts spin faster. You feel trapped in a world you cannot escape. But notice what happens when you stop resisting, even for a moment. The feeling shifts. A small opening appears. A softening, a space between one thought and the next. Inside that space is the beginning of freedom. Modern psychology has discovered the same truth that the Buddha taught thousands of years ago. The nervous system relaxes when met with compassion rather than control. The brain responds to gentle awareness like soil responding to rain. It opens, it softens, it lets go. When you stop trying to dominate the mind and begin listening to it, the mind stops shouting and begins to speak. To practice this teaching, lie comfortably on your back or side. Allow your body to rest in a position that feels natural, not forced. Place one hand on your heart or your chest. Feel the warmth of your own touch. Feel how the body responds to being acknowledged. Begin noticing the breath without trying to change it. Simply let it move the way it wants to move. Shallow or deep, slow or fast. Your job is not to improve it. Your job is to witness it. Next, notice whatever emotion is present. Anxiety, restlessness, fear, maybe a sense of pressure in the chest or a tightness in the throat. Instead of pushing it away, whisper inwardly, "I see you. You are allowed to be here." Feel the difference between welcoming your experience and resisting it. One brings tension, the other brings space. Then listen, not with your ears, but with the quiet awareness beneath your thoughts. Ask your anxiety, "What are you trying to tell me tonight?" You may not hear an answer in words. It might come as a sensation, a memory, a softening, or simply a sense that the moment is no longer dangerous. Stay with this for a few breaths. No pushing, no forcing, no judging. Just the gentle presence of someone who has finally learned to sit beside their own mind with kindness. This is the first teaching. The mind is not your enemy. It never was. It only needed someone to turn toward it instead of away. Tonight, you have begun that turning. Tonight, you have taken one step closer to peace. You do not need to finish the journey all at once. You only need to continue meeting yourself with gentleness. And as you soften into this truth, notice how the body begins to grow heavier. Notice how the thoughts begin to slow. Notice how the night no longer feels like a battlefield, but a quiet room where healing is finally possible. This is where calm begins. This is where sleep finds you. Chapter 2. The second teaching. The breath that unravels the night. There is a moment, usually quiet and unnoticed, where anxiety begins to tighten its hold on you. It may be the moment your head touches the pillow, or the moment the lights go dark, or the moment you try to exhale the weight of the day. Without warning, the breath changes. It becomes shallow. It becomes thin. It becomes unsure of itself. The body picks up this signal and begins to prepare for danger that does not exist. You feel it in your chest first, then in your thoughts, then in the corners of your mind that still remember old fears. The night becomes longer. Sleep moves farther away. The Buddha taught that the breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. When the breath is calm, the mind becomes calm. When the breath is chaotic, the mind becomes chaotic. Anxiety often begins with the breath, but most people never notice this. They try to calm the mind, while the breath continues to flare and tighten. It is like trying to quiet a flame while still feeding it oxygen. But when you return to the breath with awareness, everything begins to shift. The storm inside you changes direction. The body remembers how to soften. The mind remembers it is allowed to rest. Let me share a story. There was a man named Elias who carried anxiety like a second shadow. During the day, he hid it well. He worked efficiently. He laughed at the right moments. He looked strong enough that no one suspected how heavy his nights felt. But every evening, as he prepared for sleep, his breath betrayed him. It turned narrow and rapid. His body interpreted this as danger. His mind followed. His thoughts scattered. His heart raced. He thought something was wrong with him, something he could not fix. One night, after weeks of exhaustion, Elias attended a small meditation class near his neighborhood. The teacher was an old monk with slow movements and eyes that seemed to rest in a different world. The monk asked the students to close their eyes and place one hand on their belly. He said nothing profound at first, only breathe the way the body wants to breathe. Elias felt foolish. How could something as simple as breathing help him? But he followed the instruction. The monk then added, "Feel the breath move like a wave, rising, falling, rising, falling. Nothing to change, nothing to control." To his surprise, Elias noticed something he had never seen. His anxiety always began with the breath. He had never caught it before. It was the breath that triggered the mind, not the opposite. The monk explained that when the mind is frightened, the breath tightens. But when the breath softens, the mind begins to trust again. Anxiety is not a force that needs to be defeated. It is a rhythm that can be changed. That night, Elias tried the practice again before bed. He lay on his back, placed his hand on his belly, and simply watched his breath. At first it was uncomfortable. His breath felt small, weak, but he stayed. He breathed as if comforting a child who had been crying for too long. Slowly the breath deepened. Slowly the chest softened. Slowly the fear began to melt. It did not disappear instantly, but it no longer controlled him. For the first time in months, sleep rose to meet him like a gentle tide. The Buddha called this teaching mindfulness of breathing. It is not a technique to escape anxiety. It is a way of seeing it clearly, without panic, without expectation, without resistance. The breath becomes the anchor that prevents the mind from drifting too far into fear. When the breath slows, the mind follows. When the breath opens, the heart opens. When the breath deepens, rest becomes possible again. Think about your own nights. How often does your breath tighten without you realizing it? How often does your chest lift, but your belly stays frozen? How often do you breathe only from the top of the lungs, while anxiety grows stronger in the space you refuse to enter? The body knows how to sleep. It has always known. But the breath must lead the way. Let us practice together now. Lie down in a comfortable position and place one hand on the belly. Feel its warmth against your skin. Do not try to force the breath. Simply notice its movement. Let the breath come and go the way waves touch the shore. Slow, continuous, soft. Bring your attention to the rising of the belly. Feel it lift gently beneath your hand. Then feel it fall, rising, falling, rising, falling. Nothing more. If thoughts appear, do not push them away. Let them float like clouds crossing a silent sky. Your only task is to return to the breath each time you remember it. Notice how the breath begins to deepen on its own. Notice how the chest expands more softly. Notice how the shoulders release. Notice how the mind begins to slow. Now breathe in for a gentle count of 4. Let the air fill the belly first, then the chest. Pause for one quiet moment. Then breathe out for a slow count of 6. Let the body release more than just air. Let it release tension. Let it release pressure. Let it release fear that has been waiting to be exhaled. Repeat this for a few cycles. Feel the difference between before and after. Feel how the nervous system responds. Feel how the heart settles. Feel how the mind bows to the rhythm of the breath, as if recognizing an ancient friend. This practice does not erase anxiety. It transforms your relationship to it. You stop running from the storm and begin watching it from a place of safety. The breath becomes a doorway to calm, a doorway to sleep, a doorway to yourself. Elias once said that after learning to breathe again, his nights no longer felt like battles. They felt like conversations. Conversations between the parts of him that were afraid and the part of him that finally knew how to comfort them. Your breath can do the same for you. It can untie the knots in your chest. It can steady the trembling in your thoughts. It can guide you into rest, even when the world inside feels unsettled. The second teaching is simple. The breath is your anchor. When anxiety rises, return to it. When the mind spins, return to it. When sleep feels far away, return to it. Each breath is a step toward peace. Each exhale is a letting go. Each inhale is a reminder that you are still here, still alive, still capable of resting deeply. Tonight, let the breath lead you home.
Chapter 3. The third teaching, the art of letting thoughts pass like clouds. There is a moment during the night when anxiety changes shape. It begins not in the breath anymore, but in the stories the mind starts to create. A single thought appears, then another, then 10 more. Before long, the mind becomes a storyteller that refuses to stop speaking. It tells stories of mistakes you made years ago, stories of what might go wrong tomorrow, stories of what others might be thinking, stories of dangers that do not exist anywhere except in the imagination. And even though you know these stories are exaggerated, part of you believes them because they arrive at the exact moment you feel most vulnerable. The Buddha taught that thoughts are not the enemy. Thoughts are simply events in the mind, rising and falling like waves on a vast ocean. The problem is not the presence of thoughts. The problem is becoming entangled in them, believing every story they tell, mistaking every passing cloud for a storm. When you learn to watch your thoughts instead of following them, everything begins to change. You become the sky rather than the weather. Let me share the story of a young woman named Lila. For most of her life, Lila had a gentle heart and a sensitive mind. She loved deeply, cared deeply, worried deeply. During the day she appeared calm, but at night her thoughts grew louder than anything around her. She replayed conversations, imagined worst-case scenarios, created entire worlds of fear in the darkness of her room. Her body wanted sleep, yet her mind behaved like a river after heavy rain, overflowing with movement she could not control. She tried everything to silence her thoughts. She distracted herself with music. She tried forcing her mind to think positively. She repeated phrases she did not believe. She even tried staying awake until exhaustion finally knocked her out. None of it brought peace. Her thoughts continued to swirl like leaves in a storm. One evening, after weeks of difficulty, Leela attended a retreat where a monk taught a simple practice. When thoughts arise, he said, label them gently: thinking, worrying, remembering, imagining. Do not fight them, do not chase them, do not believe them. Just watch them pass the way you would watch clouds drift across an open sky. This sounded too simple to Leela, too peaceful, too gentle for something as stubborn as her nighttime mind. But she tried it anyway. That night, as her thoughts began their usual race, she placed her hand lightly on her belly and whispered inwardly, thinking. She did not push the thought away. She did not argue with it. She simply noticed it and returned to her breath. A few moments later, another thought rose, louder and more emotional. Worrying, she noted, and again returned to her breath. At first, nothing happened. The thoughts continued as they always did, but after a few nights of consistent practice, something shifted. The thoughts no longer dragged her in with the same force. They lost their power to control her. They appeared like clouds, drifting in and drifting out, each one temporary. The stories she once believed felt lighter, softer, less threatening. For the first time in years, she began to see the space between herself and her thoughts. In that space lived her peace. The Buddha spoke of this often. He taught that thoughts are like visitors arriving at your door. If you treat them as truth, they take over the house. If you treat them as enemies, they return stronger. But if you simply acknowledge them without attachment, they leave quietly the same way they arrived. This is the art of observing the mind without clinging. Think about your own nights. How many times have you believed thoughts just because they appeared when you were tired? How many times have you chased them as if they were urgent truths? How many times have you tried to silence them only to make them louder? The mind does not calm through force. It calms through spacious attention. Let us practice this now. Settle into a comfortable position. Allow the body to rest into the bed or the cushions beneath you. Close your eyes softly or leave them half open if that feels more natural. Begin by noticing the breath. Do not change it. Let it move the way it wants to move. Now wait. Thoughts will arise. They always do. When the first thought appears, do not tense. Do not react. Simply name it gently. Thinking. Then return to the breath. When another thought comes, name it again. Remembering, planning, worrying, imagining. Let the label be soft, like brushing dust off a table. Then return to the breath. This simple act changes everything. The moment you label a thought, you create distance. You are no longer inside the story. You are watching the story from a safe place. The thought loses its ability to pull you in. You become the witness instead of the character. Continue this practice for a few minutes. Notice how the thoughts begin to slow. Notice how the space between them widens. Notice how your body begins to settle as the mind becomes less reactive. You may still feel the presence of anxiety, but it becomes softer, like a tide that is finally beginning to recede. Leela once said that this practice saved her nights. It did not make her thoughts disappear. It made her relationship with them peaceful. She learned that thoughts are weather, temporary, changeable, unable to harm the sky above. She became the sky, and the sky does not fear its clouds. The third teaching invites you to rest in this same truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that watches them. You are the space that holds them. You are the sky in which they move. And when you remember this, anxiety loses its power to control the night. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. Let your mind soften into spaciousness. Let the sky within you open, and sleep, gentle and natural, will begin to rise.
Chapter 4. The fourth teaching. The body remembers how to rest when you return to it. There is a quiet truth about anxiety that many people overlook. Anxiety does not begin in the mind alone. It lives in the body. It hides in the shoulders you forgot to lower. It lingers in the jaw you never realized was clenched. It settles in the muscles that stay alert, even in the softness of night. Long after the day ends, the body continues to react as if it is still facing pressure, still carrying burdens, still needing to protect you from something unseen. The Buddha taught that awareness of the body is a doorway to freedom. He said that when the mind is overwhelmed, return to the body. When emotions feel heavy, return to the body. When sleep feels distant, return to the body. The body is always here, always present, always willing to guide you back into stillness. But most people live far away from their bodies. They live in thoughts and memories and tension they never learn to recognize. Tonight, we return. Let me tell you about a man named Adrian. He worked tirelessly, always pushing, always performing, always appearing calm on the outside. But at night, his body betrayed him. His heart raced, his chest felt tight, his muscles pulled inward as if bracing for impact. He could not sleep, even when he was exhausted. He believed there was something wrong with his mind, something broken he could not repair. One evening, during a meditation workshop, a teacher invited him to lie down and feel the weight of his body against the floor. The teacher said nothing about breathing or visualizing or calming the mind. He simply said, "Let the body rest into the earth as if it has nothing left to carry." Adrian felt foolish, but he tried. As he allowed his weight to drop, he noticed something surprising. The tension he thought he could control with the mind began to release when he gave the body permission to let go. The teacher explained that the body holds everything the mind avoids, every unspoken worry, every unresolved fear, every pressure you ignored during the day. At night, these tensions rise like shadows that want to be acknowledged. When you learn to feel the body without fear, the body softens. When the body softens, the mind follows. Adrian practiced this each night. He placed one hand on his belly, one hand on his chest. He felt the weight of his body sinking into the mattress. He let gravity take him. He did not try to relax. He allowed relaxation to find him. Over time, the nights changed. He no longer felt attacked by anxiety. He felt held by the simple truth that the body knows how to rest when he reconnects with it. The Buddha spoke of this as mindfulness of the body. He taught monks to walk slowly, to sit with presence, to lie down with awareness, not because movement itself matters, but because returning to the body creates grounding, and grounding dissolves fear. Think about your own nights. How often do you lie down physically but remain standing internally? How often does your body stay alert even when you want to rest? How often do you forget that the body carries you through every moment, every challenge, every emotion? Tonight, we practice coming home. Lie down in a comfortable position. Let your arms rest where they naturally fall. Let your legs relax without trying to place them perfectly. Feel the weight of your body being held, not by effort, not by will, simply by the surface beneath you. Allow the bed, the floor, or the cushion to carry your weight the way the earth carries every tree, every stone, every living thing. Now bring your attention to your feet. Feel the temperature. Feel the heaviness. Do not try to change anything. Just notice. Slowly bring your awareness upward, into your calves, into your knees, into your thighs. Feel the muscles, the tightness, the subtle vibrations that tell the story of your day. Move upward again, into the hips, the belly, the chest. Let the breath move gently through this space. Notice where the breath feels blocked. Notice where it flows easily. Continue upward into your shoulders, neck, and face. Feel how much tension you have carried without noticing. Let your jaw loosen. Let your forehead soften. Let the tongue rest gently in your mouth. Now take a slow breath in. Let the body expand slightly. And as you exhale, imagine the weight of the day flowing out of you. Not forced, not pushed, simply released, the way leaves fall from branches in the quiet of autumn. Repeat this process 3 times. Feel how your body begins to melt into the bed. Feel how gravity welcomes you deeper. Feel how the muscles no longer fight against the night. This is the practice of returning to the body, not to escape the mind, but to remind the mind that it is safe. Let me share another short story. There was a woman named Mara who battled insomnia for years. She believed her anxiety came from her thoughts, but her teacher told her gently, "Your mind is not awake, your body is." Her muscles were bracing as if expecting harm. Her shoulders were tight from years of holding everything alone. Her breath was shallow because she had learned to move through the world carefully, quietly, cautiously. The teacher guided her to relax each part of the body one by one. At first she resisted. It felt too slow, too simple, too strange. But as she continued, she realized something profound. Her tension was not fear of the night. It was unprocessed emotion she carried into the night. When her body softened, her heart softened. When her heart softened, her mind quieted. Sleep became natural again. Your body remembers how to rest. It has always known. You only forgot because life taught you to stay alert. But alertness is not needed in the softness of night. Not here, not now. The 4th teaching is this: return to the body, and the mind will follow. Let the body rest, and the breath will deepen. Let the breath deepen, and the thoughts will loosen. Let the thoughts loosen, and sleep will come. Tonight, let the weight of your body be your teacher. Let gravity hold you. Let the world be soft for a while. You do not have to earn rest. You only need to allow it. Chapter 5. The 5th teaching. Releasing the past that echoes in the dark. There is a certain kind of anxiety that does not come from the future. It comes from the past. It appears the moment everything becomes quiet. A memory surfaces. A mistake returns. A regret whispers. Something you thought you had forgotten suddenly feels alive again, as if the night itself is calling it back. You do not ask for these memories. You do not want them, yet they arrive, uninvited, carrying echoes from old chapters of your life. The Buddha taught that the past is a shadow. It follows you only when you turn your back to the light of the present moment. Shadows cannot harm you. They cannot touch you. They cannot shape your future unless you hold on to them. But the mind has a habit of clinging to old pain, the way hands cling to thorny branches. Even when it hurts, the mind holds tight because letting go feels unfamiliar. This chapter is about learning to unclench. Let me share the story of a man named Rowan. Years ago, he made a decision he regretted deeply. It was not a catastrophic mistake. It was simply a moment of fear that led him to walk away from someone he loved. He told himself he moved forward. He built a new life. But at night, The memory returned like a ghost that refused to fade. He replayed the moment over and over. He asked himself what would have happened if he had been braver, wiser, kinder. His body tightened each time. His chest ached. He felt trapped in a moment he could not change. One day, during a meditation retreat, a monk approached him and said gently, "You keep returning to the moment that broke you, but that moment has long since ended. Why do you remain there?" Rowan felt something collapse inside. He realized he had been living in two timelines. In the day he lived in the present, at night he lived in the past. The monk taught him a simple practice using imagery. He said, "Imagine your memory as a leaf floating on a river. You may hold it for a moment, acknowledge its weight, feel its shape, but when you are ready, place it on the water and watch it drift. Do not rush it, do not force it. Let the river carry it way at its own pace. The river is the present moment. It always moves forward." That night, when the memory resurfaced, Rowan closed his eyes and pictured the leaf. He placed the memory gently on it. At first the leaf did not move. It stayed near him, but then, with each breath, it drifted a little farther, a little softer, a little lighter. The ache in his chest did not disappear instantly, but something in him softened. A release began, a letting go he had never allowed. The next night he tried again, and again, and again. Eventually, he no longer feared the memory. He no longer braced against it. He met it with compassion. He realized the memory was not returning to punish him. It was returning to be healed. This is the heart of the fifth teaching. The past rises at night, not because it wants to hurt you, but because a part of you is finally quiet enough to hear it. The mind is not trying to punish you. It is trying to release what was never resolved. Think about your own nights. How many times have you revisited moments that no longer exist? How many hours have you spent arguing with memories that cannot argue back? How many tears have you shed for stories that ended long ago? The Buddha said the moment you see clearly that the past is gone, its power dissolves. Not because the memory disappears, but because you stop carrying it. You stop becoming it. You stop confusing who you were with, who you are. Let us practice together. Lie down or sit comfortably. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your belly soften. Let the breath enter your body gently. Bring to mind a memory that returns often at night. Not the most painful one, just one that lingers. Do not judge it. Do not analyze it. Simply hold it gently, the way you would hold a fragile object in your palms. Now visualize a quiet river, a slow-moving stream winding through a forest. The air is cool, the water is clear. Place your memory on a small leaf resting on the surface of the river. Watch it settle. Watch how the leaf moves with the soft current. As the breath deepens, the leaf drifts. Maybe slowly, maybe only an inch at a time, but it moves. The river does not rush. It does not force. It simply carries. If the memory returns, place it again. If it clings, allow it. If it dissolves, let it dissolve. The practice is not about forgetting. It is about loosening your grip. After a few breaths, notice your body. Notice how the tension around the memory softens. Notice how your chest feels a little more open. Notice how the breath flows more easily. The body responds not to the memory itself, but to how you hold it. Let me tell you about a girl named May. She carried guilt from something she said to her mother during an argument years ago. Even after her mother forgave her, May did not forgive herself. Every night, the scene replayed. The words, the tone, the regret. It felt endless. During a workshop on compassion, the teacher asked the students to place a hand on their heart and whisper, "I release myself from the past." May resisted. She felt she did not deserve release, but the teacher explained softly, "Forgiveness is not a reward. It is freedom. Freedom for you. Freedom for your heart." May placed her hand on her heart. She whispered the phrase. At first it felt empty, but as she continued, tears came. Not from sadness, from relief. The memory that once felt heavy began to feel softer, like a cloud losing rain. This is the transformation that happens when you stop wrestling with the past and begin holding it with compassion. The body opens, the mind quiets, sleep becomes possible again. The fifth teaching is this: you cannot rest while carrying yesterday on your back. You cannot sleep while wrestling ghosts. You cannot find peace while holding tightly to moments that have already ended. The past does not belong in the night. The night is for healing, for restoring, for letting go. Place your memories gently on the river tonight. Let them drift. Let them soften. Let yourself return to the present moment where peace still lives. And as you rest, remember this: you are not the person you were in your memories. You are the person who is learning to release them. Chapter 6. The sixth teaching: softening the heart so sleep can enter. There is a kind of anxiety that does not come from thoughts or breath or even the past. It comes from the heart, a quiet ache, a heaviness, a tightness you cannot name but feel deeply. It sits beneath your ribs like a stone that refuses to move. During the day, distractions hide it, responsibilities cover it, but at night, when you finally lie still, the heart reveals everything it has been carrying. The Buddha taught that the heart, when held with tenderness, becomes the doorway to freedom, but the heart, when ignored, becomes the source of suffering. Many people try to quiet their minds without ever touching the emotional weight that keeps them awake. They breathe, they meditate, they repeat calming phrases, yet the heart remains closed, and a closed heart cannot rest. This chapter is about softening the heart, gently, slowly, warmly, so that sleep can find its way in. Let me tell you about a woman named Alina. She was strong, intelligent, admired by many, but inside she carried an emotional heaviness she never allowed herself to feel. She had lost someone she loved 2 years earlier, and though she told herself she had moved on, the grief still lived inside her like a quiet storm. At night, the grief awakened. Her chest tightened. Her breath became shallow. She felt restless, as if something inside her wanted to cry, but did not know how. One evening, she attended a meditation session where the teacher guided the group through a practice of metta, loving kindness. The teacher invited them to imagine placing a warm hand over their own hearts, not as a gesture of healing others, not as a spiritual obligation, but as a simple act of acknowledging their own pain. Alina followed the instruction. She placed her right hand on her heart. She felt its warmth. She felt its resistance. And then she felt something she had not felt in years: softness. The teacher invited them to silently offer themselves 4 simple phrases. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be gentle with myself. May my heart be free. At first, these words felt distant to Alina, but as she repeated them, her chest loosened, her breath deepened, tears rose softly, not from sorrow, but from finally allowing herself to feel. That night, she slept without interruption for the first time in months. The Buddha taught that the heart cannot rest while it resists its own pain. Sleep does not come through force. It comes through emotional softness. When the heart feels held, it unwinds. When it unwinds, the mind quiets. When the mind quiets, rest becomes natural. Consider your own nights. How often does emotional pain rise when the world grows silent? A disappointment you never spoke about. A loneliness you pretended not to feel. a hope that didn't unfold the way you imagined, a heartbreak you tried to outgrow before you were ready. These emotions are not disruptions. They are visitors. Visitors asking to be acknowledged before they can leave. Let us practice this softening together. Lie down or sit comfortably. Place your hand gently over your heart. Feel its warmth. Feel the gentle movement beneath your palm. Feel the presence of your own life. Now take a deep breath in, not to fix anything, simply to arrive. As you exhale, allow your chest to loosen, even if only by 1%. Bring your awareness to the heart, not as a concept, not as a symbol, but as a living space inside you. Now silently repeat these phrases, slowly. May I be safe. Let the words settle. May I be peaceful. Feel the breath soften. May I meet my own pain with kindness. Let the chest expand gently. May my heart rest tonight. You are not forcing yourself to feel anything. You are inviting the heart to release its grip. If emotions rise, let them. If nothing rises, let that also be enough. Softening is not a performance. It is a permission to be human, a permission to rest. Let me share another story. There was a man named Thomas who carried anger in his heart for years. Anger at his father, anger at himself, anger at all the ways life did not unfold according to his hopes. At night, this anger became a restlessness he could not escape. His body tightened, his thoughts sharpened. Sleep avoided him like a frightened animal. During a retreat, a monk taught him a simple truth. Anger is frozen sadness. When you soften the anger, the sadness melts. When the sadness melts, the heart opens. When the heart opens, rest becomes possible. Thomas resisted this at first. Softening felt like surrender. But one night, unable to sleep again, he placed his hand on his chest and whispered inwardly, "May I allow myself to feel what I truly feel." He expected anger to rise. Instead, tears came, years of unspoken sorrow, years of unmet needs, years of pretending nothing hurt. As he allowed these emotions to flow, his breathing changed. It deepened, it slowed, it steadied, and sleep followed naturally, like a tide returning to shore. This is the essence of the sixth teaching. The heart does not need to be perfect to rest. It needs to be honest. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be treated like a tender being that has carried too much for too long. Tonight, place your hand on your heart again. Feel its warmth. Feel its softness. Feel its longing to rest. Whisper to it gently, "I am here. I am listening." You do not have to carry everything alone. And feel what happens in your body, in your breath, in your mind, in the quiet space inside you that finally feels seen. When the heart softens, anxiety loosens. When the heart softens, tension dissolves. When the heart softens, sleep enters like a friend stepping into a warm room. Let your heart soften tonight, and let rest find you exactly where you are. Chapter 7. The seventh teaching, surrendering the illusion of control. There is a kind of anxiety that grows not from fear, not from memories, not even from emotional wounds. It grows from control, the quiet, relentless effort to manage everything, to hold every detail, to predict every outcome, to prevent every possible mistake or disappointment. During the day, this effort hides behind productivity and responsibility. But at night, when the world softens and your hands finally stop moving, the truth reveals itself. You were never meant to hold so much. The Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering, clinging to outcomes, clinging to certainty, clinging to expectations of how life should unfold. Clinging seems like protection, But in reality, it exhausts the mind. It tightens the breath. It strains the body. And at night, when darkness settles and all external distractions fall away, the illusion collapses and anxiety rises. This chapter is about surrender, not giving up, not losing, not becoming passive, but learning the sacred art of releasing what was never in your control from the beginning. Let me share the story of a man named Victor. He was admired for his discipline, respected for his achievements, praised for his stability. Yet every night he lay awake in silent agony. He replayed conversations, planned responses, predicted dangers, analyzed future decisions. His mind never rested. His body never released. He believed that if he could think through every possibility, he could prevent anything from going wrong. But the cost was enormous, and sleep became impossible. One day, Victor attended a Dharma talk where an old monk asked the audience a simple question. If you cannot control the breath that left your lungs 1 second ago, how can you believe you control tomorrow? The question hit Victor harder than he expected. He realized he had been living as if he could force life to obey him. But life, like the ocean, cannot be held in the palm of the hand. The monk taught him a breathing practice for letting go. He said, with each inhale, feel what you are still trying to control, and with each exhale, release one thread of that control into the vastness around you. That night, Victor sat on his bed and tried the practice. At first, it felt strange. Letting go felt like losing stability. But as he breathed, he felt something subtle happening. The thoughts were still there, but the grip was weaker. The urgency softened. The night became more spacious, and for the first time in years, he did not feel like the world rested on his shoulders. The Buddha taught that control is an illusion created by fear. When fear loosens, control loosens. When control loosens, peace enters. Think about your own nights. How often do you hold on to things you cannot change? The reaction someone gave you, the future you cannot predict, the past you cannot rewrite, the expectations you place on yourself, the expectations others place on you. This clinging becomes a tightness in the chest, a heaviness in the mind, a tension in the breath, and it follows you into bed like a weight you cannot drop. Tonight, we practice dropping it. Lie down comfortably. Place one hand on your belly and one on your chest. Feel the breath moving through you. Do not try to control it. Let the breath breathe itself, the way it has since the moment you were born. Now, silently name one thing that has been heavy on your mind. Not the biggest thing, just something you tried to control today. An interaction, a responsibility, a worry, a possible outcome. Do not judge yourself. Simply acknowledge, I am holding this. Now, take a slow inhale. Feel the weight of that responsibility in your hands, in your chest, in your breath, and exhale slowly. Imagine releasing one single fiber of that burden. Not all of it, just a thread. Let it fall away the way a leaf falls from a branch with no effort at all. Again, inhale gently. Feel your body soften around the edges of the tension, and exhale, surrendering another thread. Let go of the need to manage everything. Let go of the need to know. Let go of the illusion that the night needs your vigilance to carry itself forward. Life moves with or without your control, and tonight you are allowed to rest. Let me tell you the story of another seeker named Hana. She feared uncertainty more than anything. She planned every detail of her life. She made lists, schedules, contingency plans. But at night, her mind drowned her in what-ifs. What if things changed? What if people left? What if loss came unexpectedly? A teacher once told her, "You do not fear uncertainty, you fear feeling unprepared. But the heart cannot prepare for everything. It can only learn to rest inside the unknown. He taught her a simple mantra of surrender, not as a ritual, as a release. With every exhale, she whispered inwardly, "I release what is not mine to carry." At first it felt empty, but over time those words became freeing. She realized her anxiety was not about the future itself. It was about holding too tightly to the imagined future. When she softened her grip, the future softened too. This is the seventh teaching. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is the highest form of trust. Trust in the breath. Trust in the moment. Trust that life does not require your constant vigilance to unfold. You can rest without the world falling apart. You can sleep without planning everything. You can breathe without controlling every detail. You can let night be night and morning be morning. Tonight, as you lie down, whisper softly, "I release what is not mine to carry." Let the words enter your chest. Let them loosen the jaw. Let them soften the breath. Let them open the space inside your mind where peace has been waiting. You were never meant to hold everything. You were meant to breathe, to rest, to trust, to sleep. Let surrender be your pillow tonight, and let peace rise in the space control once lived. Chapter 8. The eighth teaching. The night becomes peaceful when you stop fighting yourself. There is a kind of anxiety that does not come from fear or breath or the past or the heart or the need to control. It comes from something even deeper, something quieter, something often hidden beneath layers of habit and survival. It is the anxiety born from self-conflict, the subtle tension between who you truly are and who you believe you must be, between the softness you long for and the hardness you pretend to have, between the exhaustion you feel and the strength you force yourself to perform. This silent conflict is one of the greatest thieves of sleep. The Buddha taught that the greatest suffering is the suffering created within oneself, not from external events, not from circumstances, but from the internal war between your true nature and the masks you wear. The mind becomes a battlefield. The heart becomes a wounded soldier. The body becomes a shield that never rests. And at night, when the world grows quiet, this inner battle becomes loud. This chapter is about ending the war with yourself, not by winning, not by forcing, but by laying down the weapons you have carried far too long. Let me tell you about a young woman named Raina. She was kind, compassionate, and deeply intuitive, yet she lived her life pretending to be unshakable. She believed she had to be strong for everyone around her. She never showed weakness, never admitted when she was overwhelmed, never allowed herself to rest until everything was perfect. During the day, she hid her exhaustion with a smile, but at night, when she lay in bed, the conflict erupted. Her heart raced, her breath shortened, her thoughts multiplied. Sleep became something she feared, because she knew the moment she closed her eyes, the truth she had avoided all day would rise and demand to be heard. One evening, she attended a meditation circle where the teacher spoke about the nature of inner conflict. He said, "You cannot sleep peacefully while fighting yourself. The mind cannot rest when the heart is exhausted from pretending. The body cannot soften when it is holding armor it no longer needs." These words pierced through her like light through a cloud. After the session ended, she approached the teacher and asked, "How do I stop fighting myself when I do not know who I am without the fight?" The teacher smiled gently. "The moment you stop trying to be someone, you remember who you already are." He instructed her to try a practice at night, a practice of self-reconciliation, a practice of welcoming every part of herself instead of pushing them away. That night, when anxiety returned, Raina placed her hand on her heart and whispered inwardly, "I am allowed to be human." She repeated it again and again. At first, nothing changed. Her thoughts still raced, her chest still tightened. But then something subtle softened. It was not the anxiety that changed. It was her relationship to it. She was no longer fighting. She was listening. The Buddha taught that when resistance ends, suffering weakens. It is not the presence of fear that causes suffering. It is the refusal to feel it. It is not the presence of sadness. It is the shame woven around it. It is not the presence of exhaustion. It is the expectation that you should not feel it. Inner conflict dissolves when the truth is welcomed. Think about your own nights. How often do you lie in bed pretending to be fine? How often do you silence your needs because you think they are too much? How often do you criticize yourself for being tired, anxious, emotional, or imperfect? How often do you hold yourself to standards you would never impose on someone you love? This quiet self-judgment becomes a weight on the chest. It becomes pressure in the breath. It becomes noise in the mind. It becomes the barrier between you and sleep. Tonight, we practice something powerful. We practice befriending ourselves. Lie down comfortably. Rest your arms gently at your sides. Let your breath settle, even if it feels uneven. Close your eyes or leave them softly open. Place a hand on your heart or belly. Feel the warmth of your own presence. Now bring awareness to the part of you that feels conflicted. Maybe it is the part that feels never enough. Maybe it is the part that wants rest but also fears slowing down. Maybe it is the part that longs to be gentle but thinks gentleness is weakness. Maybe it is the part that wants to be held but believes it must stay strong. Do not push this part away. Do not analyze it. Do not judge it. Simply acknowledge it the way you would acknowledge a child standing alone in the cold. Now whisper inwardly, I see you. You are allowed to be here. Feel what happens. Feel the tension loosen by a fraction. Feel the breath deepen slightly. Feel the heart soften, as if finally being understood. Next, say quietly in your mind, I do not need to fight myself tonight. I do not need to be perfect tonight. I do not need to hold everything together tonight. I only need to rest. The body responds to truth. The mind responds to compassion. The heart responds to permission. Let me tell you another story. There was a man named Jonah who struggled with perfectionism. Every night he reviewed everything he had done wrong during the day. Every small mistake became a storm. Every moment of imperfection became a wound. He believed self-criticism made him stronger, but it only made him exhausted. During a retreat, a monk asked him to sit in silence and imagine his younger self standing before him, a boy of maybe 7 or 8. The monk said, "Would you speak to this child the way you speak to yourself?" Jonah felt tears rise. He realized the harsh voice in his mind was not discipline, it was self-harm. The monk then guided him through a practice of inner kindness. Place your hand on your chest. Picture your younger self leaning into your palm. Say to him gently, "You did your best today. That is enough." Jonah practiced this each night. He felt awkward at first, but over time, his inner landscape changed. The storms weakened, the nights softened, the mind stopped attacking him. Sleep returned. This is the 8th teaching. The night becomes peaceful when you stop fighting yourself. When you speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, tired, emotional, or vulnerable. When you stop pretending, you must always be strong. Tonight, whisper to yourself gently, I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to soften. I am allowed to be human. I am allowed to sleep peacefully. Feel the words wash through your body. Feel the shoulders drop. Feel the jaw loosen. Feel the breath deepen. Feel the inner conflict dissolve like mist in the early light. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to apologize for being exhausted. You do not need to fight yourself to become worthy of sleep. You are already worthy, simply because you are here, simply because you exist, simply because the heart inside you is alive and trying its best. End the war tonight. Lay down the armor, invite yourself into the gentle space of acceptance, and let sleep rise like a tide that has been waiting all along. Chapter 9. The ninth teaching. Resting inside the present moment. There is a final kind of anxiety that often goes unnoticed. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to keep you awake long after the world has gone to sleep. It is the anxiety that comes from leaving the present moment. The mind jumps forward into futures that have not arrived. It rewrites conversations that have already ended. It imagines dangers that are not here. It rushes toward what-ifs, possibilities, and imagined catastrophes with such speed that the body believes they are happening now. The Buddha taught that the present moment is the only place where peace exists, not in tomorrow, not in yesterday, not in the fantasies or fears created by the wandering mind. Peace lives only here, in this breath, in this body, in this moment. Yet so few people sleep inside the present. They sleep inside imagined futures. They sleep inside unfinished stories. They sleep inside mental noise that has nothing to do with the life unfolding right now. This chapter is about returning home to the present moment, not through force, not through discipline, but through gentle awareness that anchors you back to yourself. Let me tell you about a man named Cyrus. He was brilliant, successful, admired for his ambition, but his nights were filled with torment. Every time he lay down to sleep, his mind projected him into the next day, the next meeting, the next conflict, the next responsibility waiting for him. His heart raced as if these events were happening in the room. His breath tightened as if danger stood beside him. He could not sleep because he was never truly in the night. He was in tomorrow. One evening, a friend invited him to a meditation class. The teacher asked the group to close their eyes and simply notice the sensations in their hands. Nothing more. Not the breath, not emotions, not thoughts, just the hands. Cyrus felt confused. How could such a small practice help? But he tried anyway. He noticed the warmth in his palms, the slight tingling in his fingers, the subtle pulse beneath the skin. As his awareness deepened, something unusual happened. The noise in his mind softened. His breath steadied. He felt more present than he had in years. For a moment, tomorrow vanished. All that existed was the quiet aliveness of his hands, resting in the present. After the session, the teacher said gently, "Your anxiety comes from living everywhere except now, but your life is happening here. Rest is happening here. Sleep is happening here." Cyrus practiced this nightly. Some nights were easy, some nights were difficult, but every time he returned to the sensations of the present moment, anxiety loosened its grip. The Buddha called this mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the senses, mindfulness of the moment. He taught that when you anchor your attention in the present, the wandering mind loses its power. The future fades. The past becomes quiet. The heart slows. The body softens. Sleep becomes natural again. Think about your own nights. How often do you leave the present moment without realizing it? How often do you worry about things that are not happening? How often do you replay moments that ended long ago? How often do you tighten your breath because of imaginary futures? Most of your suffering does not come from what is real. It comes from where your mind travels. Tonight, we practice staying here. Lie down comfortably. Let your body sink into the bed. Allow your eyes to close or rest softly. Take a slow breath in, feeling the cool air enter your nostrils. Take a slow breath out, feeling the warmth leave your body. Now bring your awareness to a single point in your body. Your hands, your belly, your feet. Choose one place. Let it be your anchor. Feel the sensations there. Warmth, softness, pressure, movement, stillness. Do not describe them. Do not analyze them. Simply feel them. Each time your mind leaves the present moment, gently bring it back. Not through judgment, not through frustration, through kindness. Say inwardly, come back, or simply return with the breath. Feel how the mind slowly becomes quieter. Feel how the body begins to soften. Feel how the heart slows, as if realizing it no longer needs to chase imagined futures. Let me tell you another story. There was a woman named Elise who lived with constant fear of what might go wrong. She planned every detail of her life. She monitored everything. She believed that if she prepared for every scenario, nothing could surprise her. But at night, her mind tortured her with endless possibilities. What if she failed? What if she disappointed someone? What if she was not enough? During a retreat, a monk gave her a simple practice. Sit quietly. Feel the breath at the tip of your nose. Just that one place, nothing else. Elise tried it reluctantly, but as she continued, she discovered something remarkable. The moment she focused on the present sensation of the breath touching her skin, her anxiety could no longer drag her into the future. The mind tried to wander, but the present moment pulled her back like a gentle hand guiding her home. She later said, "I realize the future cannot hurt me. Only my imagination can." This is the 9th teaching. Peace is not found by solving all of tomorrow. Peace is found by returning to the moment you are living right now. Tonight, practice staying here, not in your thoughts, not in your worries, not in the stories your mind creates. Here, in the body, in the breath, in the present. Place your hand on your heart. Feel its rhythm. Feel its warmth. Feel its presence. This is now. This is life. This is the only moment that exists. Let tomorrow be tomorrow. Let the past be the past. Let the night hold you gently in the space between breaths. Whisper inwardly, I am here. I am safe. I am resting in this moment. Feel how the mind softens. Feel how the breath deepens. Feel how sleep rises slowly, like a tide returning to shore. The present moment has always been your refuge. Tonight, allow it to become your rest. Chapter 10. The 10th teaching. Trusting the quiet wisdom of the night. There is a final layer of anxiety that often reveals itself only when every other noise has quieted, after the breath has softened, after the heart has opened, after the past has loosened, after the mind has been watched gently, after surrender has begun. It is the fear of the night itself, the fear of stillness, the fear of quiet, the fear of what may rise from within when the world around you is completely silent. Many people do not fear danger, they fear stillness, because stillness removes distractions, and without distractions, the inner world becomes impossible to avoid. The Buddha taught that silence is not empty. Silence is full of wisdom. Silence is full of answers. Silence is full of truths that cannot be spoken in daylight. But to someone who has spent years running from their own inner world, quiet feels threatening. The night becomes unfamiliar territory. The darkness becomes a mirror reflecting thoughts and emotions you have not yet made peace with. And because of this, sleep becomes difficult, not because of insomnia, not because of worry, but because the soul has forgotten how to trust the gentle wisdom that night brings. This chapter is about relearning trust. Trust in the night, trust in rest, trust in stillness, trust in yourself. Let me share a story about a man named Kalen. During the day, he was confident, articulate, grounded, but at night, he hid beneath layers of noise, podcasts, music, television, anything that prevented him from being alone with his thoughts. He said the silence felt too loud, too revealing, too intimate. Without noise, he felt the weight of everything he avoided, conversations he never had, emotions he never processed, dreams he abandoned, fears he never acknowledged. One evening, after another sleepless night, he attended a meditation gathering where the teacher invited the group to sit in complete silence for 10 minutes. No guidance, no instructions, just stillness, just breath, just presence. Kalen panicked at first. His heart pounded, his thoughts scattered, his body tensed. He wanted to leave the room, to escape the quiet pressing against him, but he stayed, and something extraordinary happened. At minute 7, the teacher rang a soft bell. The sound was gentle, like a whisper traveling across water. It touched something inside Kalen he did not know was there. A tenderness, a softness, a longing for rest that had been buried under layers of noise. After the session, the teacher said, "Silence is not your enemy. Silence is the friend you abandoned when life became overwhelming. You fear the night because the night tells you the truth, and truth is not something to fear. It is something to listen to." That night, Kalen turned off every device, lay in bed, and listened. At first, the silence made his anxiety louder, but with each breath, he softened. He realized nothing in the silence was dangerous. Nothing was attacking him. Nothing needed to be fixed. There was only the gentle pulse of life within him. There was only the rhythm of his own breath. There was only the quiet wisdom of the night asking him to trust again. The Buddha taught that when you stop running, your suffering stops chasing you. You do not need to fight the night. You do not need to fill it with noise. You do not need to escape yourself. You need only to trust the quiet. Think about your own nights. How often do you turn on music to avoid silence? How often do you scroll your phone to avoid thinking? How often do you fill the night with distraction because you fear what you might feel without them? The night does not bring anxiety. The night reveals anxiety that was always there, and revelation is the first step toward healing. Tonight, let us practice trusting the quiet wisdom of the night. Lie down gently. Turn off the noise. Let the room be soft and dark. Feel the subtle hum of silence around you. Do not try to change it. Do not try to fill it. Let it be there with you. Now take a deep breath in. Slowly breathe out. Let the breath settle into its natural rhythm. Notice the silence again. Notice how it wraps around you like a soft blanket. Notice how the body responds to it, even if at first it feels uncomfortable. Bring awareness to the sounds within your body, the faint pulse in your chest, the gentle movement of your breath, the soft shifting of your muscles as you relax. These are not distractions. They are reminders that you are alive. They are reminders that you are safe. They are reminders that the night is not empty. It is full of life. If thoughts arise, let them pass. If emotions appear, let them be. If memories surface, hold them gently. Do not fear what rises from silence. Silence does not bring darkness. Silence brings clarity. Now whisper inwardly, "I trust this moment. I trust this quiet. I trust myself." Feel how the breath deepens. Feel how the heart softens. Feel how the mind begins to settle into the space the night provides. Let me tell you another story. There was a young woman named Celine who could not sleep without noise. She believed silence was too empty, too isolating, too sharp. Her therapist invited her to try a practice called listening meditation. The invitation was simple. Sit in a quiet room and listen not for noise, but for presence. At first, Selene resisted, but when she finally tried, she realized the silence was not empty. It was full of subtle sounds she had never noticed. The distant hum of the refrigerator, the soft movement of air, the faint pulse in her own ears. For the first time, she heard her own life in a new way. She felt connected to a deeper rhythm, a quieter wisdom, a calm she had been chasing in all the wrong places. This is the 10th teaching. When you trust the night becomes peaceful. When you trust silence, silence becomes soothing. When you trust the present moment becomes home. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, whisper softly, I am safe in this quiet. I am held by this night. I allow myself to rest. Let these words move through your body like warm water. Let them soften every muscle. Let them calm every thought. Let them open the door to sleep. You do not need noise to feel safe. You do not need distractions to feel secure. You do not need to fear the night. The night is here to heal you. The night is here to hold you. The night is here to remind you that rest is your birthright. Trust it. Trust yourself. And let sleep rise gently from the depth of your being. Chapter 11. The 11th teaching. Allowing yourself to be carried by life. There is a kind of anxiety that comes not from what you hold, but from what you refuse to let yourself be held by. A quiet, persistent belief that you must carry everything alone, that you must solve every problem by yourself, that you must always be strong, always be prepared, always be the one who stays awake while the rest of the world sleeps. This belief is noble on the surface, yet it drains the soul, tightens the breath, and makes rest feel impossible. The Buddha taught that no being exists in isolation. Every tree grows because the soil supports it. Every wave rises because the ocean carries it. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Her breath stayed shallow. Her muscles stayed tense. She believed that if she stopped worrying, everything would fall apart. One evening, during a mindfulness training, a teacher asked the group to reflect on one simple question. Who carries you? Farah felt a shock move through her. She had no answer. She realized she had never allowed herself to lean on anyone or anything. She thought strength meant doing everything alone, but the teacher explained gently, even the strongest mountains are held by the earth. Why do you believe you must stand without support? The teacher guided the class through a practice called resting in being, not doing, not fixing, not planning, simply being carried by the moment itself. Farah lay down, closed her eyes, and listened as the teacher said, let the ground hold you. Let the breath move you. Let life support you. You do not have to try. You only have to allow. At first, she resisted. The idea of surrender felt unsafe, but gradually she felt something shift. The muscles in her back softened as if remembering they were not created to hold the world. Her breath deepened. Her thoughts slowed. She felt, for the first time in years, that she was not alone. She was part of something larger, something that did not demand strength from her but offered rest. The Buddha often said that clinging creates suffering, but trusting creates ease. This does not mean blind faith. It means remembering that life does not move because of your effort alone. The earth turns, the seasons change, the breath enters your body without you telling it to. Life carries you even when you believe you must carry everything. Think about your own nights. How often do you lie awake believing you must figure everything out? How often do you brace your body as if preparing for something that has not happened? How often do you refuse rest because you think rest is irresponsible? How often do you forget that nature itself rests without asking permission? The truth is simple. You cannot rest while trying to be the one who holds the sky. You can rest only when you allow the sky to hold you. Tonight, let us practice allowing. Lie down in a comfortable position. Feel the surface beneath you. Notice how it supports your entire weight effortlessly. You do not need to help the bed hold you. You do not need to tense your muscles. You do not need to remain alert. Now take a slow breath in. As you exhale, imagine the weight of your responsibilities flowing downward into the bed, into the floor, into the earth. Not thrown away, not abandoned, simply set down for the night. Repeat this gently. Inhale, I am here. Exhale, I am held. Feel the truth of these words. Feel how the breath moves without your command. Feel how the night surrounds you with quiet. Feel how the body softens when it realizes it does not need to maintain vigilance. Now bring awareness to your back. Imagine it resting against a warm, steady surface. A presence that supports you fully. A presence that never asks you to prove your strength. A presence that says silently, you can let go now. This is not imagination. This is reality. Life is carrying you in ways you cannot see. Let me tell you another story. There was a man named Idris who believed he must always be in control. He worked tirelessly, planned every detail, and never asked for help. But at night, the burden became too heavy. His sleep was shallow, his thoughts were loud, his breath was tight. A monk once told him, "Your suffering comes not from the weight you carry, but from the belief that only you can carry it." The monk asked him to lie down and place his hands on the earth. "Feel how the ground supports you," he said. "Has it ever failed you? Does it ask anything from you?" Idris felt a wave of emotion rise in his chest. For the first time, he realized he was not meant to hold everything alone. The earth had been carrying him since the moment he was born. Each night after that, Idris repeated a simple phrase before sleep. "The world continues without my effort. I am allowed to rest." Something softened, something released, and sleep finally returned. This is the 11th teaching. You are not alone. You are not unsupported. You are not the sole keeper of your life. You are carried by breath. You are carried by the body that keeps you alive. You are carried by the earth beneath you. You are carried by the present moment that does not demand anything from you. Tonight, whisper to yourself, "I allow life to hold me. I allow this night to support me. I allow myself to rest." Feel how the chest opens. Feel how the breath deepens. Feel how the mind settles into trust. You do not need to carry everything. You only need to be here, breathing, resting, allowing. And as you surrender into this truth, sleep will rise gently like a tide that finally has permission to reach the shore. Chapter 12. The 12th teaching. Walking yourself gently towards sleep. There is a final transition each night, a delicate threshold between waking and sleeping that many people never learn to honor. Most force it. Some fear it. Others rush through it without awareness. But for those who struggle with anxiety, this threshold becomes a barrier. The moment the body begins to soften and the mind begins to drift, something inside tightens. A sudden alertness rises, a fear of losing control, a resistance to surrender. And sleep slips away just when it was closest. The Buddha taught that sleep is not a destination to reach. It is a natural unfolding, a gentle descent into rest. The mind cannot be pushed into sleep. The heart cannot be commanded into silence. The body cannot be forced to let go. They must be guided slowly, softly, compassionately. This chapter is about walking yourself across that threshold with tenderness. It is about becoming your own guide into the world of rest. It is about learning to meet the night, not with fear, but with trust. Let me tell you about a woman named Naomi. She lived her days with grace, but her nights were filled with subtle panic. The moment she felt herself drifting towards sleep, her mind jerked awake. What if she forgot something important? What if she was not ready to sleep? What if sleep made her vulnerable? She did not fear sleep itself. She feared the act of surrender. One evening, during a retreat, a teacher explained something that changed her life. He said, "Sleep is a letting go, and letting go is the deepest expression of trust. If you cannot sleep, it is not because your mind is broken. It is because your heart has forgotten how to trust the moment." The teacher guided Naomi through a practice he called the gentle descent, a way of moving toward sleep, the way a leaf falls toward the ground, not abruptly, not forcefully, but naturally, effortlessly, with the cooperation of gravity. Naomi practiced this every night, and slowly the barrier between her and sleep dissolved, not because she forced herself into rest, but because she learned to walk herself there lovingly. Tonight, you will learn this too. Lie down in the most comfortable position available to you. Let your body settle however it wants to settle. Allow your muscles to soften without trying to perfect anything. Let the breath move naturally. Now imagine yourself standing at the top of a gentle hill at dusk. The sky is soft. The air is cool. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, only a slow path leading downward. With each inhale, imagine stepping 1 foot forward. With each exhale, imagine descending gently, as if the earth itself is guiding you. No rush, no urgency, just a slow, natural descent. Let your breath lead you down the hill. 1 step, another. If thoughts arise, nod to them kindly and let them drift like fireflies in the grass. If emotions appear, bow to them softly and continue walking. If tension tightens your body, pause, breathe, and let it loosen by 1 degree. You are not trying to reach sleep. You are simply walking toward it, and sleep will meet you halfway. Let me share another story. There was a man named Orion who battled sleeplessness for years. He measured his sleep, timed it, analyzed it, obsessed over it. The more he tried to control it, the farther sleep slipped from him. He said his nights felt like trying to hold water in the palm of his hand. During a Dharma talk, a monk told him, "Water rests in a bowl because the bowl holds it gently. Become a bowl. Become the one who holds your experience with gentleness. Stop gripping. Start receiving." The monk guided him into a practice of allowing. Allow the breath. Allow the tension. Allow the thoughts. Allow the emotions. Allow the unfolding of sleep. Allow everything to be exactly as it is. At first, Orion resisted this idea. Allowing felt like giving up. But what he discovered was profound. Sleep does not come to those who chase it. Sleep comes to those who create a space soft enough for it to land. Over time, Orion stopped fighting himself. He stopped trying to master sleep. He stopped trying to control the night. And sleep returned. This is the heart of the 12th teaching. You do not fall asleep. You return to sleep. You remember sleep. You allow sleep. Sleep is not something outside you. Sleep is something inside you that unfolds when you stop interfering with it. Tonight, as you lie in bed, bring your awareness to 3 points of the body: your heart, your breath, your belly. Place a hand on one of these places if it feels comforting. Feel the warmth, feel the movement, feel the gentle rhythm within you. Now whisper inwardly, guide me gently, not as a demand, not as a command, as an invitation. Let your body respond. Let your breath deepen on its own. Let your mind soften, as if settling into a warm pool. You are not pushing yourself into sleep. You are walking yourself toward it, the way one walks a tired child home at night, with patience, with kindness, with love. The Buddha taught that peace arises when resistance ends. Sleep is the same. When you stop resisting the night opens its arms. When you stop forcing sleep, sleep embraces you. When you stop battling your own mind, your mind becomes quiet enough to rest. Now imagine the gentle hill again. You are farther down than before. The sky is darker now, but comforting, not frightening. You feel supported by the earth beneath you. The air feels soft around your skin. You feel the world beginning to fade, like a candle dimming slowly. You take one more breath, then another, then another. Each breath brings you closer to rest. Each exhale releases a little more tension. Each moment draws you deeper into stillness. If there is anything left to do, trust that it can wait. If there is anything unresolved, trust that you will meet it with clarity in the morning. If there is anything heavy in your heart, trust that you do not need to solve it tonight. Tonight is for rest. Tonight is for release. Tonight is for returning home to yourself. And now, as your breath slows, as your body becomes warm and heavy, as your thoughts drift like clouds across a wide sky, you may feel a soft wave rising within you. This is sleep. Not rushing, not pushing, simply arriving. The way dawn arrives, the way tides return, the way a leaf floats gently toward earth. You have walked yourself here, with awareness, with courage, with tenderness, and now the night will carry you the rest of the way. This is the end of the 12 teachings, a journey from fear to softness, from noise to quiet, from holding on to letting go, from fighting to allowing, from waking to peaceful sleep. Rest now, you have arrived. As you reach the end of this journey, feel how different the night feels inside you now. Not as an enemy, not as a place where anxiety waits in the dark, but as a sanctuary, a quiet room within your own heart, where breath, body, and mind can finally rest together. The Buddha taught that peace is not something you chase. It is something you return to when you stop running. Tonight, you have practiced returning step by step, chapter by chapter, into the stillness that has always lived beneath your thoughts. You have learned to soften the breath, to watch the mind without fear, to release the past, to open the heart, to surrender control, to trust silence, to walk yourself gently towards sleep. None of these teachings demand perfection. They simply invite presence. They invite compassion. They invite a tenderness toward yourself that modern life often forgets to offer. As you rest now, feel the soft truth of this moment. You are safe. You are held. You are allowed to let go. Sleep is no longer a battle. It is a returning home. And if these teachings have brought you comfort, if they have opened even a small doorway to peace within you, I invite you to continue this journey with me. This channel is a home for stories, teachings, and practices that nurture the heart. A place where wisdom meets tenderness. A place where your inner world is honored, cared for, understood. If you wish to keep walking this path toward clarity, toward healing, toward deep rest, consider subscribing, not as an obligation, not as a habit, but as a gift to the version of you who longs for quiet nights, steady breath, and a mind that feels like a friend. Let us keep traveling together through stories, through stillness, through the gentle unfolding of the inner world. For now, may your night be soft, may your sleep be deep, and may peace rise within you like a slow, warm dawn.